Hi, I'm Steph, and this is Mac and Tosh. I now have 2 dogs, but 4 years ago, I didn't have any dogs, and I had never had a dog before in my life. So I had been wanting to get a dog for years. Once I bought my house, I had really wanted to get a dog, but there was a list of things, let's say 10 things, that I really didn't like about dogs. That's why I was really not sure about what dog to get, because pretty much I thought all dogs had these traits. So I'm going to read you my list. And I will say some of them are things I didn't want, and some of them are things that I did want that not all dogs have. So let me go through the list, and then I'm going to tell you how I came to the Greyhound breed and why I have 2 Greyhounds now. Number 1, I didn't want a dog to lick. Number 2, no shedding. Number 3, I didn't want a dog that smelled. Number 4, no barking. Number 5, I didn't want a dog that had to do a lot of grooming. Number 6, I didn't want a dog that needed a lot of exercise. Number 7, I didn't want a dog with genetic issues. So what I was reading was mutts are really the best way to go, which is a dog that is not a specific breed but multiple breeds. And most of the dogs you get from the animal shelter are mutts, and they usually have less genetic issues than purebred that are bred under, bad breeding practices. Number 8, I did want a dog that was potty trained. So this basically took puppies out of the mix. I didn't want to teach a puppy how to go to the bathroom. Number 9, I kind of wanted a dog that was a guard dog or was protective. I just thought, if a stranger was around, that the dog would be able to handle it. Number 10, I actually wanted a therapy dog. So I wanted a dog that was really good with kind of reading my emotions and being there for me. I do deal with depression, so that was something that I was kind of wanting out of a dog. And I did look to see, could you get a dog specifically trained to help you with depression? And it was kind of complicated and expensive, and so I kind of took that off the list eventually, but I was looking for that kind of specifically from a dog. So one day my mom was talking to a friend of hers who has a Greyhound and was telling my mom all about it. My mom's like, have you looked into Greyhounds? And so I started looking into Greyhounds and realized once they're done racing, they're adopted out and they're retired racers and anyone can adopt them. And so everything I was reading, I was like, whoa, check. And everything was kind of checking off my list. So let me go through my list again and kind of talk through that. So no lick. I didn't want a dog that licked. So Greyhounds, they're not big lickers. Tosh does lick a little bit, but it's really easy to tell her no and to stop her from licking. So shedding. So Greyhounds don't have that undercoat that a lot of dogs have, and so they don't really shed as much. My dog Mac sheds a little bit more because she has the thickest Greyhound coat I've actually ever seen. And I didn't want a dog that smelled. So again, Greyhounds don't have that undercoat, so they don't really have that doggy smell, and they don't need to be washed often, and they shouldn't be washed often. Tosh smells the most, but after she's been washed, it takes months for her to really smell again. So no bark. I didn't want a dog that typically barks. So these dogs, they do bark. I'm not going to say they don't, but it's not like a typical dog. So in my neighborhood, I have a lot of dogs that bark when they're outside and they just bark at stuff. Greyhounds don't do that. They will bark inside the house when they see a small dog outside or a cat outside. They hate cats. Now, I didn't want a dog that had to groom, which is perfect because Greyhounds don't need any grooming. Like I said, I wash them about maybe 4 times a year. I do get their nails cut at the vet, but I only do that every, few months or so. Now, no extra exercise was something that I wanted, which, I thought like most people do with Greyhounds, they're active, they need a lot of exercise. They don't. My dogs, I walk every other day for about a half hour, and that's pretty much enough for them. They do sleep 18 hours a day, 18 to 20 hours a day, and then you can choose what to do with the rest of that time, if you want to exercise them or not. Also on my list was I didn't want any genetic issues. And one thing that's great about Greyhounds is that they are bred for racing, but Greyhounds naturally like to run after little things. So they're not really breeding for color or for size or for shape and things like that. So the genetic line of Greyhounds has been pretty clean. So there's really not a lot of genetic issues that I was going to have to deal with Greyhounds. Number 8 was I wanted a dog that was already potty trained or trained in some way. And that's perfect because Greyhounds actually have a lot of training that they go through specifically for racing and to safely race and things like that. but they're trained and scheduled and regimented, and so they know how to go to the bathroom, where to go to the bathroom. When you adopt a retired racing greyhound, they've never been in a house before, so you do have to teach them the ropes of that. But Mac only has peed in the house once, and that was she had a medical issue when I first got her, which we dealt with. So I did want a dog that's kind of like a guard dog, and when I was reading about greyhounds, I read they're not guard dogs. Like, if someone comes to the door, they're just gonna sit there and like lick them, and so I was like, okay, that's something I wanted, but I think it's okay, I think I can deal with that. So I was like, oh, I'll still get a greyhound. But I will say, when I got my dog, Mac, my first dog, she is a guard dog. She is very protective of me, and if someone's at the door, she's barking at them. She's making sure I know who they are. So that's not typical in greyhounds, but my girl, Mac, is my guard dog, so that's awesome. And lastly, I wanted a dog that would be good with helping me with my depression, that had some kind of like training in that. And obviously I knew they weren't trained for that, you know, they are retired racing dogs. But, you know, as if you have a dog or experienced dogs, you know, they just are great with giving you so much love, and greyhounds are no exception. I can't explain, they just help me kind of get out of my head and get out of my own stuff and take care of them, and they give me so much love. So those were the 10 things that I didn't want in a dog and did want. And I got all of that and more with my greyhound, so I'm so happy to have my two girls, Macintosh. So thanks for joining, and have a great day.